You take the Spelman Endowment, the Howard Endowment, and the Hampton Endowment, and you combine those three, and they don't even come close to the lowest Ivy League indictment. If the Trump MAGA administration sets its sights and wants to sink its teeth into HBCUs, our institutions stand no chance against that type of assault. We had better wake up.
Those institutions, Roland, were a fraction of the endowments of those white schools in the 1930s and 40s when they produced the undergraduates like Thurgood Marshall at Lincoln University, like Oliver Hill and Spotswood Robinson at Howard University School of Law that killed Jim Crow. Those HBCUs had a fraction of those endowments in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s when they produced the student movements and the brilliant black intellectuals on those faculties that literally rewrote the cultural DNA of this country. Those HBCUs have nothing in the bank compared to Harvard, to Yale, to the flagship state schools today. But what they do have is not economic, but it's moral, cultural, and it is intellectual. You're right about Ketanji Brown Jackson. Shortly after Sonia Sotomayor was sworn in, she came to speak at Howard Law, and we were there, the faculty, the students, and she said that she didn't like the Ivy League bent, and yet we still see what clerks she has selected. I'll tell you somebody else who never hired a clerk from an HBCU or Howard University, and specifically, that would be a man named Thurgood Marshall. Let me be very clear. The whole time Thurgood Marshall was on the Supreme Court of the United States, he did not hire one clerk from the institution that he got his own law degree under Charles Hamilton Houston, who himself graduated from Harvard Law. So let me be very clear about how the internal sickness of blackness. I saw Justice Brown Jackson a couple of weeks ago at the installment of the new dean at Howard Law School, of course, our frat brother, Roger Fairfax, whose brother is our frat brother as well, of course, the good brother Justin Fairfax, who was there. I expect that may soon change at Howard University, if for no other reason than Ketanji Brown Jackson and Roger Fairfax went to law school together, as did her roommate at the time, Roger Fairfax's wife, Professor Lisa Fairfax, who was on the faculty of the University of Pennsylvania. But it speaks to that little word that you raised, Roland, which is a nasty little word, that 5-letter word, E-L-I-T-E, elite. Unfortunately, we live in not a meritocracy, but a kleptocracy with a very strong elite bent. And I share, Nola, your enthusiasm, and I think all of our enthusiasm, because Harvard finally did what you have to do with punk-ass bullies, which is punch them dead in their face. And very quickly after that, or right around the same time, the Yale faculty said, and mind you now, let's be very clear about what we're witnessing now. This isn't the administration. This isn't the president. This isn't the trustees. This is the faculties. See, because Lawrence Tribe, Professor Emeritus over at Harvard Law School, the whole they're looking like, hey, man, you messing with our reputation now. Do you understand? Not only in this funky little country called United States of America, but globally. You see, it means something to be associated with a brand that stands for a question of intellectual independence and freedom of expression. There is, after all, until they throw it completely out the window, a First Amendment to the United States Constitution. So Larry Tribe and them was like, nah, y'all gonna change. And then Yale's faculty has now said to Yale what they're gonna do. And if y'all follow the Ivy League close, you know as Harvard goes, Yale goes. And as Harvard and Yale goes, it keeps coming down. Columbia played itself, friends. So by the time it gets to Brown and Dartmouth, the Ivy League will come along. But Nola, you made a very important point when you said those Big Ten schools, because what happened with the Faculty Senate at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln? What happened at Rutgers? What happened at Indiana University Bloomington? What has happened now is the Big Ten Alliance, which is 18 schools, including 2 public institutions and flagship schools, because now they're talking at Michigan State in Lansing and Ohio State, where I went to law school, in Columbus. And they're saying, oh, no, this is it. Now, them punk-ass law firms that you mentioned, that bent the knee too early? See, because Harvard did what it did this week, I think we might just be able now to see a sea change. And finally, our HBCUs can absolutely participate in that sea change, even deep behind the cotton curtain, with the one resource we have that none of them have more of, and that is guts. if we go and look at the model, not of Harvard, not of Yale, but of the HBCU models of the 1930s, 40s, and 50s, where in spite of conservative leadership, as conservative then as HBCU leadership is today, the faculties of those institutions did not flinch. Can we recover? Can we recover the courage of a James Farmer Sr. at a place like Wiley College? Can we recover the courage of a Benjamin Mays at Morehouse, or the courage of an Oakwood, the courage of an Eva Beatrice Dykes at Oakwood? If we have our models, we don't need to look at no white schools. And Roland, I think we can win that, but you're right. We're going to have to wake up and take some courage.
See, I need people to understand why we're having this conversation. Yeah, this goes back to my Washington Watch days. There were so many times when we talked about stuff on Washington Watch and News One Now on this show, and mainstream media figured it out 2, 3, 4 weeks, 2, 3, 4 months later. I mean, I blasted Mediaite because they hyped up Megyn Kelly, criticizing Kristi Noem for playing dress up in the Department of Homeland Security. And I said, wow, Mediaite, y'all late. I hit that 2 weeks ago. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, what I'm laying out to y'all is prophetic. It's going to happen. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. But I need y'all to understand the money. Go to my iPad, Anthony. The top 10, this is from HBCUmoney.com. The top 10 HBCU endowments total is $2.6 billion. The top 10 PWI endowments is $336 billion. The number of PWIs, predominantly white institutions, above $2 billion endowment is 78. The number of HBCUs above $1 billion is 1. The number of PWIs above $1 billion is 148. I'm just trying to show y'all the numbers. Now, if I go Ivy League, this is 2023. I told you, I just showed y'all. The top 10 HBCUs combined have an endowment of $2.6 billion. One of them is $1 billion. So that means the other 9 represents the other $1.6 billion.
That's right.
Brown University is the lowest Ivy League, and its endowment is $6.6 billion. So the endowment of Brown, the lowest Ivy League, now go back. Brown 6.6, Columbia 13.6, Cornell 10 billion, Harvard 50 billion, Princeton 34 billion, Yale 40 billion, Dartmouth is 7.9 billion, University of Pennsylvania 21 billion. See, Harvard's actually now 53 billion. This was 2023. Harvard, by having 53 billion, can tell Trump to go to hell.
Yeah.
Because they can say, we will fund that $2.2 billion loss in federal grants for the next 3 years and work to make sure a Republican does not win in 2028.
That's right.
They can weather that storm. If Harvard returns 10% on their investments, that's $5 billion a year. The federal grants are $2.2 billion. I'm telling y'all right now, be prepared for the Trump administration or a conservative governor saying, HBCU, get your ass in line. Don't be threaten presidents and provosts. Don't have too many protests. Don't make too much noise. I'm just trying to warn y'all that if they could go after Harvard and Columbia and the Ivy Leagues and MIT and go after the most prominent law firms in the country and get them to bend their knee, you got Mark Zuckerberg worth billions of dollars trying to bend the knee to keep that Federal Trade Commission settlement as low as possible. You just had today in Washington, D.C., give me a second, let me pull it up, where a federal ruling against Google in an antitrust lawsuit declaring that they actually have a monopoly. Man, y'all need to understand, There's a reason all them billionaires were lined up at the inauguration.
And he's going to humiliate all of them still.
And right. So look, with the law firms, he's already gotten concessions and saying, I want more. I want more. I want more. So I just need our people prepared.
That's right.
That they're going to attack black institutions.
Absolutely.
So if there ever was a time
Absolutely.
for black institutions to be aligned and for black people to understand the fight we're about to face.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The window to invest in Fanbase is closing. We've raised over $10.6 million of our $17 million goal. That means there's room for less than 6,370 people to invest in Fanbase for the average amount. The minimum to invest in Fanbase right now is $399. That makes you an owner in Fanbase today. Go to startengine.com/fanbase to invest. Why? Because current social apps have taken advantage of users for far too long, with content suppression, shadow banning, harmful racist content, and no real tools for monetization and equity. Fanbase has over 1.4 million users and counting, allowing anyone to reach all their following and monetize their content from day one. Social media is the new TV, and whoever owns the apps that distribute that content have the opportunity to own potential billion-dollar companies. While big platforms with uncertain futures are failing to serve their users, Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now, invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the next generation of social media.